Hey.
Hey.
Leave him alone, I'm busy farming.
Leave him alone, he's busy farming.
The bathroom remodeling.
Watch out for all these eggplants, huh?
I've never had this type of success. Look at the cherry tomatoes. I mean, I didn't trellis them properly, but constantly getting new growth. Here's an avocado from you, grafted. Look at this size.
This one, how old is this?
What is it, 3-4 years?
3 years about,
I got it from you, and it was, I don't know, maybe a 3-gallon?
Little 3-gallon tray, yeah.
Different varieties of tomatoes. These are, up front is a bigger cherry tomato. I have some beefsteaks that, boy, they're the smallest beefsteaks I've ever seen right there.
Those are beefsteaks?
Yeah.
Wow.
But they're really good.
Wow, this thing has changed so much. I feel like you were doing aquaponics or almost hydroponics
I
the
did
first time I came, right?
hydroponics, I did NFT, nutrient flow technique, I had tower gardens, sold everything, which funded my raised beds, my greenhouse. But here's another example of if you can let things go to seed. I don't know if that's in focus or not right there.
I got you now, yeah.
I mean, you end up with, I don't know, 5 or 6 seeds. It doesn't take many. And here's a perfect example. The ones I harvested from the big greenhouse that went to seed, I was curious if they germinate. Here we go. And I put these in maybe a month ago. I mean, they're struggling. I think it's a little too hot. Volunteer sweet potatoes.
What are these? Are these the birdie beds?
Yeah.
Birdie? Okay.
I like them because you can contain what you're growing. So if you're starting out small scale, any type of a raised bed I think's a winner. You could fill it with compost, organic fertilizer. I utilize the market garden technique in all of these, and they do well. But for me, what I've learned is you don't even need anything. You could start with a good 8-12 inches of compost, 30 inches wide, and you don't even need borders.
Wow.
And you're off and growing.
You mean as far as this side goes over here with the raised up beds?
Right,
Yeah.
so that's the evolution, right?
Yeah, this is the more aesthetic for the backyard, the neighbors, whatever.
Well, I bought them because I thought I needed to grow in a raised bed. And then I came across some videos, Jim and whatnot, on YouTube on the market garden. And read the books on them, and I'm like, gosh, that seems real easy. And what I love about it, this is what farmers are using. And it's organic, it's no-till. That's the way we should be growing. And again, for me, I've never gotten results like this, ever.
It looks like you're going to have production all summer long.
That's my goal, is figure out what'll grow year-round. Like the sweet potatoes. What I love about these, 2 years ago, I bought 50 slips. Am I saying that right? A slip, right?
Yeah, it's a slip.
So what I do is, and you can see in the pots here, I just try and keep vines growing year-round. And I used to put them in a little pot and get them to root and then transplant them. Works wonderfully. However, if you look right here,
just planting them like that.
I just stuck it in the ground.
Wow.
Right in that bed. And at first they looked like they were stressing out. Now I've trimmed these, but I mean, these vines, look at it stuck right in here.
They're
What's
healthy.
going on? Right? Healthy. And there's I think it's called Haas Tools Farms. I think they're in the
Haas,
Georgia.
yeah.
Haas, H-O-S-S, I
Yep.
believe. So they have a technique where they plant, you gotta love this. They take their sweet potatoes and they literally are putting it in the ground like this. Right in the ground.
Wow.
They just push it in the ground.
Laying them sideways, yes.
No, they stick them straight down. They have a wooden tool that just pushes it down into the ground, and that's how they're planting their slips, which are coming from vines. So,
Do you
again,
eat the greens at all in the sweet potatoes?
I haven't, but I understand they're really good. I just have so much between the kale. We had Swiss chard, escarole.
I saw some freshly started. Oh, those more eggplants I see coming up.
Yes. So I just thought, watch yourself here. I get this all the time.
Okay.
These are onions. My son Gerald said, "Oh, I'm planting onions." So he bought seeds. They're starting to now bulb up, but I planted these in the spring.
Okay.
But the beauty is they stayed in the ground. These were all cucumbers. I had 17 cucumber plants here. I was getting maybe 10 pounds a day. Usually I grow cucumbers, I get 3. In here, I couldn't believe, I didn't know what to do with them. My neighbors are like, stop, I can't eat them all.
You think it's just the difference of controlling the rain, huh?
Yes, 100%, and the shade cloth. So I have a 30% shade cloth up top. So that keeps the intensity of the sun down a little bit. I had this open last year during the summer, and I had my favorite tomato, Brandywine. And once the thick of the summer hit, the humidity, those plants were just stressed and they all died off. Where these cherry tomatoes, I mean, you know, they're just thriving on neglect. I'm not even keeping up with them. Their stems are bending, they're flowering, and they're still going to fruit. And these are some of the best tasting ones I've ever had. And, you know, part of my mistake, so you learn as you go, right? The spacing I have, I thought, oh, I have my trellis system up there. I'll just get on a ladder. They're now almost 10.5 feet tall. They're flowering. I'm not going to be able to harvest those other than from here. So I've switched over to a new trellis system that it's not really implemented properly, but it's a wire rod that hangs from my trellis up top, and it has clips. Okay. Yeah, so it's going to be a lower and lean type of way of growing because they just get too tall. And that's why I went to determinate tomatoes on my outside areas. You see the trellis I have here?
Oh, cable, yeah.
Yeah, this you can buy from Farmer's Friend. And my thought was eggplants, determinate tomatoes, things that'll vine up. These are now cantaloupes, but as I say, they're getting beat up. I don't know that they're going to survive. I'm not giving up on them yet, but...
Not as happy, for sure.
No, they're not. And I trimmed them back. They look good, and we're right back where they're at.
This side of the greenhouse must get a nice afternoon break, too, huh?
It does.
That's
so
nice.
That could, maybe it's just not getting enough sun also. But these are more tomato plants that I started from seed. These are, again, seeds I harvested from the determinate. I was curious to see, would they germinate? Again, we're having some issues here, though, right? Some pests, so you know, the key is come out every day and inspect your plants, and probably there'll be a caterpillar. Yep, well, he fell out, but there was a caterpillar in there. So if you see them, you can eradicate them if you're on top of it every day. I just haven't been out here, but more eggplant. That's my favorite vegetable to grow.
Eggplant?
It's so versatile, yeah. For the first time, I made moussaka. Am I saying that right? Or is
Moussaka?
Yeah. Moussaka. But I substituted the meat with mushrooms. Unbelievable. So
or eggplant. I mean meat for eggplant.
No, the meat that's in it,
wow.
I put mushrooms instead.
Oh my gosh.
So a little bit more vegetarian. Yeah. Not that I'm opposed to eating the meat, but I just wanted something a little different. The eggplant, I'll just bread them, bake them in a little toaster oven, a little salt, and we'll eat those all day long. I was eating sandwiches at your shop for the week, eggplant sandwiches. But again, I just need to come in here and clean up. That's what'll happen if you leave the leaves where it's too congested,
let it get
humidity,
airflow. Yeah,
and then you start getting pest problems. But loads of flowers.
It's great in here.
Yeah.
How big's the greenhouse?
So this is the 50 foot by 16. It's the Gothic Pro. I did not have 50 feet. I ordered one 5 foot spacing, and I brought them into 4 feet. So it's a little stronger now. Now you can upgrade to 4 feet spacing, but and then I put a wiggle wire channel here to secure the plastic. They just have the
strapping
twine,
yeah,
which works great, but to lift the sides up, I found to be a little bit of a pain. So I then made a roll-up side, which is basically the top rail of fence posting, the top rail of a chain link fence. Screw them together, attach your plastic, and you just
the wiggle
roll
wire is your own custom add-on then, huh?
Yes,
okay.
That I made the scissor doors, which you saw on Jim's video that you did.
Smell wonderful in here.
Isn't it crazy? And again, it's a mess now. I've neglected it for 2 weeks. Normally there's only green, but it goes to show how quickly. I said to my wife, I'm surprised, not quite 2 full weeks, and it's a disaster in here as far as what the humidity's done. And vines that I haven't trellised, they're just hanging. I mean, this is all new growth. Maybe 2 weeks ago I started just hanging them. New growth, lots of flowers. Oh, and by the way, I've got a friend that's a beekeeper, and he was telling me, I didn't know this, once the honeybees that are assigned to go get pollen find a place where there's a good source, they tell the other bees in the hive. They actually do a dance, and they come here. And I started out with one or two, and then I'd notice as I'm out trimming cucumbers or tomatoes, there'd be like 50 bees just buzzing around. Didn't bother me. I've never gotten stung.
Wow.
And but they're just working away for me. But again, this isn't ideal where I have to get up on a ladder to harvest these tomatoes. If they're not quite red, I just leave them on the counter for 2-3 days. These are remarkable. Some of the best tasting. These are Johnny seeds. What else? This is a
citrus with the bird nest?
Yeah. And you know what's cool though? The birds come in here. It's a cardinal, but I'm sure they're eating the bad pests in here.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to leave it for now. It's not doing well. I don't know if it's too hot in here, not enough air. So we'll see. I have some fig trees up in front. And again, these eggplants that I started again from seeds, they're doing well. So they seem to be the winner for the summer.
They're happy, yeah.
Yeah, very little pest issue with those. So this one I actually built. I think I was a month out of my cancer treatment, and I had experimented with some hydroponics in my pool area, and they reached the top of the pool cage, and I started ordering stuff, and my wife kept saying, "What's here now?" And it was basically the bender to bend these hoops. I built the end walls, but this was the first greenhouse that really got me at the next level. It's 20 feet by 12 wide. It's much more sturdy than the other one because it's more permanent. But you know, I have a trellis system. I moved my raised beds in here, which they were originally outside. Check this out.
Built the first one, bought the second one.
I did, only because I just didn't want to build it, but
if you had the time, what would you do again?
I think I'd buy that. It's
yeah.
a good product for the price point. Beets. Again, these are direct sowed last September, and we're still harvesting out of here. Peel them, roast them with olive oil, salt and pepper. This is the other eggplant I was telling you about. Something rosa. It's an Italian variety. I don't have any fruit on here right now.
Oh, there's one over to the left.
That's a black beauty.
Oh, different variety, okay.
But it's still flowering. Again, this planted last September, and it didn't do well until this spring. And we've gotten so many off of this. Again, they're much smaller. In fact, here's one right here that looks like it's fruited. So, I don't know if you can see that, Pete. Has
it got a little one in there?
Yeah, it's just starting. You can't really see the fruit, but
oh yeah.
This is another eggplant, but this is a black beauty. There's old black beauty. Yep. There's another one which you can see is neglected. I haven't trellised it. These self-seeded. These are aroma that were from my winter crop. So Florida Zone 9B through the winter, I'm growing tomatoes, and these are just. They volunteered. They've self-seeded. I didn't plant this one. I have more growing here. These just popped up. This is another cherry tomato, again neglected. These were all cherries that they need to come out now. Here's more volunteers. This is the, I'm just cutting this one back, but you can see the size of it. This is that Florentina. So it's done. I got my last tomato off it.
How big was this greenhouse?
This is 20 feet long by 12 feet wide. And during the winter, I don't put any fleece covers here because I do have 2 small heaters, maybe 4 times a year. If we get below 32, I'll bring them out. I'll stick them on overnight. It keeps it 34 or a little higher. Never had anything have a problem. The other one, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do now. I do have metal, it's the conduit. The electrical conduit, 1/2 inch that I've bent, and it covers 2 rows. So I do have the fleece. So I might just put those up for the winter. But yeah. I want to grow the Roma tomatoes, the plum tomatoes, in there up the center. So I'm not going to be able to cover those. So we'll see. Again, another eggplant. Look at
this. Is more your black beauty?
This is more of the black beauty.
That one is productive for you.
And you know, these you could overwinter in certain areas. I think we can grow year round. But they're small now. Normally these things were getting 4 times that size. They seem like the heat, they've just stunted the growth a little bit, but they're still really good. But look at the size of this. What is there? 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 plants, yeah.
4 that were started from seed. I start my seeds March, maybe? March or April.
About 4 months then, wow.
Yeah, and I've gotten a ton of eggplant off here, and I just keep trellising it. Again, I like to push the limits here. Look at all that new growth down here, Pete. So if you cut these back, it's going to keep growing. So again, another crop that if you can keep it to survive through a winter, if you're in a northern climate, cut it back, overwintering I believe is the term, and it'll start new growth from it. Here's one that's not doing well, but yeah, you can see the tomato plants, they're done. I actually cut the...
Oh, okay. That's why the vine's dead. They got cut out,
Yeah.
okay.
What is that? Do you know what that is?
That looks like a wasp, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, there's your farm logo. We gotta get that. Oh, leave Hugh alone. He's busy farming.
So I'll tell you a funny story how that came about. I'm sitting at the outdoor kitchen. I'm making my son dinner. And he's like, we need to start a YouTube channel. Not interested. He keeps going on and on, pestering me. I'm like, you know, you're like your mother. And I tell her all the time, leave me alone. So leave me alone. And 30 minutes later, he comes back. All right, I've got a YouTube channel set up, and it's called Leave Me Alone, I'm Busy Farming. And I'm like, cracks me up. So,
all right, roll with it.
Yeah, that's Gerald, so yeah.
Well, maybe this video will inspire you guys to maybe start making a couple of videos every here and there.
You know, I was making quite a few, and then Jerry was my cameraman. He stopped shooting video, and my frustration is I'll film something and realize I lost the audio or the card was full. So it gets a little frustrating.
All right, Jerry, time for some more editing.
Yeah.
Hey, I love this path he did here. So this is the non-edible wife side of the backyard, huh?
Now, Pete, what I love about this, if you just listen as you're walking.
You like the noise of the shell?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like meditational. That's a word, but.
So you skip the stepping stones.
I don't, you know, we had them.
Yeah.
I put this here temporarily because it was nothing but mud during the winter. And my wife, Stacy, wanted them here. I like to walk on the shells because I like the sound of it. Very soothing. But I love the look of it. And it's through you
Yeah.
that I saw you using it.
Mostly ornamental out here. I see we got the couple jelly palms. I guess you've been taking advantage of the hardwood mulch, the tree mulch in the beds.
Absolutely.
That
That's
helps.
a game changer. The food forest, using the shredded tree mulch. My son, we put down, I take my tractor over there. He gets like 40 yards at a pop. He must have, I don't know, 1.5 feet. We planted some of my Roma tomatoes in the ground. We were digging for over 12 inches, and it was black compost,
Unbelievable.
loaded with nice beneficial worms and whatnot. It's just remarkable. So again, game changer. We use it here. I put it down maybe twice a year. More for looks for my wife. My food forest is about once a year now. I'll just take what my son has. I'll fill up a small trailer and I pull it here with my tractor.
How about that oven? Do we get a quick sneak peek or what?
We can look at
All
that.
right.
So this is an Italian wood-fired oven that I built. Wanted to build it before I got cancer. Didn't really have the energy, and a few years later, I decided it's time to build it.
You built this too?
Yeah, this is an outdoor kitchen. This
I
was
could
built-
tell this wasn't here last time, Hugh. You're one of the handiest guys I know, I tell you.
All the pool, the decking, did it with my brother-in-law, Ralph. Any projects we did back in the day was all about the after party. What are we going to cook for dinner? What drinks would we have? So we worked our butts off during the day. But anyway, this is, so inside it you have almost like an igloo shape. It's fire brick. It's all hand set, and the floor is fire brick. It's got 3 inches of insulation and about 5 inches of poured cement with rebar. And I made an outer shell for it, covered it in mortar, and then put the tile on. But
Built, not bought.
built. Same with the stand. I
Really?
actually-
You welded the stand. I forgot you
Welded
told me
it.
you bought a welder just for this.
I did. Well, you know,
Oh.
my background body shop.
Yeah.
I knew how to weld. This I didn't have a welder. I had to buy one.
You didn't have to learn how to weld. You just needed a
No,
welder.
it took me, you know, an hour to get the skills sharpened up again. My neighbor across the street, he's still working in the auto body industry. he heard the crackling of the weld, and he comes walking over. He says, I know the sound of a good bead when I hear it. He said, I had to see what you were building.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
So how long did something like this take?
Working afternoons, weekends, about 3 months.
Okay, this is a big project.
It was brutal. It was...
it's nice to have it done, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's a game changer when you cook. I had offset smokers, big green eggs. Once this was built, got rid of everything. I had 3 Weber kettles. Jerry just took my last one. Never used it. 4th of July, cooked a bunch of chicken in here, roasted vegetables. What's amazing with this is, when it gets to be a white oven, when the soot burns off, you're at like 900 degrees. That's a little too hot for cooking chicken, but that's for making pizza. As the temperature comes down, if you put your hand in here, it feels like pressure from the heat. So that's what causes the things to cook really well in it. It's almost like it's a pressure cooker.
Does this top get hot? You got to take this down when you're cooking?
Yeah, I swing the umbrella over.
Okay.
And I have a taller chimney, so the taller the chimney, the better the drawer.
You change out your chimneys?
I don't.
Okay.
But I have one. I just can't put the umbrella. But here's the flue right here. It comes up, so it comes out and up, and then it comes back over the top of the oven. So this is watch that, this is a Neapolitan oven. And the theory is, as that hot air exits, it keeps the dome warmer. Again, I think you're chasing a few degrees for a home. I originally was going to come right up the front here.
Wow.
But, yeah, so this was a labor of love. And
this is where a lot of those tomatoes go, huh? Eggplants.
Eggplant, tomatoes, yeah. And it doesn't use a lot of wood. I mean, I didn't even use half of what I chopped the other day. A couple of logs, cut them up.
Mostly oak?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my preference, is oak. So Pete, I didn't talk about this. This is a rosemary bush. My neighbor across the street has a huge one in his backyard. He trimmed it, and he knew I was into growing, and he's like, you want any of the branches? I took the branches, I cut the stems, peeled. Yeah. This is probably a poor example, but bear with me. So I like to get a little bit of the woody part of the stem, and you pull it back and give it a little angle, root hormone, and I'll put it in some compost. And you pull back a lot of leaves, and once it starts to root and grow, the key to get it to bush out is, if you look at a stem here, Pete, right? You want to trim, you see where you have these 2 leaves coming out? That one and that one, that leaf and that leaf?
Yeah.
You trim just above them. Where'd that go? And it'll then, it'll then branch out like this here. I'll peel this back. So you can see we now have 3 coming off the one stem. So the key is, it takes about 8 months to get one sprig to root and prune it back to where you have several branches coming off. From there, you're good to go. It'll turn into this. This is about a year old from one sprig. But again, got it from my neighbor, rooted them, and you know, if you have the time, you're never going to run out of stuff to grow. You just keep propagating. And
I love it.
yeah, you know, that's a passion of mine. It's almost like I have a disorder where if I cut something, I've got to root it. And then I mean, I don't know, 6 months ago, I must have had 50 pots of stuff growing, and I couldn't give it away.
Wow.
No one wants to grow anything.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Yeah, was that a pagoda?
Yeah,
Another one.
Volunteer?
I pulled it out of the ground and stuck it in a pot, figuring I'd gift it to someone.
Hummingbirds love that one. They're going off at my place right now.
So, anyway, yeah, so I'm going to get back to trimming my my tomato plants. I've got to get rid of all this bad growth in here now and open it up.
Thank you for the tour, sir.
You're welcome.
So where does everybody find you now?
Okay, so on YouTube, it's Leave Me Alone, I'm Busy Farming. 2 words, all condensed. So Leave Me Alone, and then I'm Busy Farming, or No-No's Wholesome Living on Instagram. I post a lot of stuff on growing, cooking. It's about a healthy lifestyle.
And then you got the Facebook group for this, right?
Yeah, I started a group. It's Home Market Gardening.
Okay.
I don't post a lot on that lately. I don't know. You know, just, I don't know. Not into it as much as I once was.
I get it. We go in social media phases. I know I do.
Yeah, you know, I just get a little tired. I have
You get burnt out.
I have a nephew, Camden. he loves to watch the videos, that's usually my motivator. He's special needs. He had a stroke when he was born. Sweetheart, though. I mean, you feel the love from him. It's contagious. You're like, I want to be around him all day long. But he loves the videos. So mostly I'll shoot him when he puts in a request. He hasn't seen one in a while. I'll do something for Camden.
I think you're overdue.
I think so, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, hey, leave me alone. I'm busy farming.
All right, I'm out of here. Oh, grass in the front yard, party in the backyard. So I think Hugh has an awesome space, a lot of knowledge to share here. Definitely check out his social media platforms. Hugh, thank you for all the help over the years, from support and buying plants, compost, volunteering with us at the nursery, helped me at the farm recently. I can't express the gratitude. I think you got a really awesome space here. Yeah, and you brought me some pizza last week. You brought me some tomatoes. I can't keep up, so I need to reciprocate and bring Hugh some more mangoes and some more plants. But did you guys see what was growing on back there? I think there's a lot to share. I think this is a pretty cool space. You guys definitely check him out on social media. Most importantly, it's 2023. Anybody can do this. Start a garden, start a food forest, pound some dirt.